This is Earth Spike, and all you need is your right click to crush Torment 4. I'm Zaior, and today I bring you a super strong review for this season, fun and easy to put together. In this video, I will show you how the build works, the gear, spirit boons, skill tree, paragon board, HORADRIC powers, new gems and roles. Without further ado, my dear Druids, let's jump into the video. This build works similarly to Polarize in terms of aspects and some skills. In fact, it uses the exact same paragon board. Let me break down the core pillars of this build in a simple way. First, we need our beloved Basilisk Prayer, which turns our Earth skills into Werber skills too. That means we can cast Earth Spike while using our ultimate Grizzly Rage. Grizzly Rage is the most important skill to make this build shine. It gives us both damage increase and damage reduction at the same time. Rabbit Bear is the other key aspect here. It converts our direct damage into poison damage, meaning Earth Spikes will now deal poison. That's why it benefits from glyphs like Keeper, which boosts non-physical damage by 50%, and the gem Scrollful Light, which increases elemental damage by 20%. Poison counts as elemental damage. These are the core elements for making the build work properly. The weapon also plays a major role in our damage. We will use the Char of Baratheon, which increases basic skill damage by 150% by the will cost resources. Don't worry through. Once the build is optimized, you won't even notice the cost. Let's go over the gear. I always try to showcase the best gear possible so you can see the build's full potential. Don't worry if your gear isn't high end. It will still work great. In fact, you can replace a Starless Sky with an Ancestral Legendary Ring I will include in the planner. Try it out and let me know how it goes. Starting with the helm, we will use Basilisk Prayer. Not much to say here. Roll willpower as high as possible to boost damage. For the chest, I'm sure you already know. Shroud of False Dead, the best chest in the game. Roll all stats. You can also use Insatiable Fury while you're looking for the chest. For the gloves, go for willpower, attack speed, and crit chance. Just like with Pulverize, try to reach over 90% crit and 90% attack speed. Roll attack speed as a temper, and the aspect we will use here is Seismic Chief. It boosts Earth Spike damage and makes its fire in a line. For tempering, go with Earth Crit Chance to help capture crit and Lucky Hit to boost procs. On the pants, we want Willpower, Max Life, and ranks to Earth Spike or basic skills. This last one is very important for increasing Earth Spike damage. Use the Ectic aspect here, which reduces a cooldown by 2.5 seconds, super useful. I went with Earthen Bulwark cooldown reduction for tempering. I felt most useful here, since we are capping armor with Basilisk Prayer and the 30% from Grizzly Rage. The other temper, Lucky Hit. For boots, go with Willpower, Movement Speed, and Max Life. Roll up Willpower. We will use the Ballistic aspect, which gives +2 to Earth skills. For tempering, Movement Speed, and Lucky Hit. Our main weapon is Char of Baratheon. Like I mentioned, massive boost to basic skill damage and the cost of resources. On the totem, go for Willpower, Max Life, and Crit Chance. Tempering is key here. Try to get Earth Spike double cast chance as high as possible. The second temper, Earth Critical Strike chance, an aspect of Rabbit Bear, a core part of the build. For the amulet, we will go with Willpower, Envenom, and Quick Shift. Tempering here is Grizzly Rage duration and cooldown reduction. The aspect here is very important, adaptability. It boosts resource generation, amazing for Baratheon, and it also increases damage based on your primary resource. This aspect is incredible for this build. For the rings, if you don't have Starless Sky, no problem. You can replace it with a legendary ring that has willpower, crit chance, and attack speed with the Moonrise aspect. Both rings work well. The second ring must be an ancestral legendary with willpower, attack speed, and chance to make enemies vulnerable. That last one is super important. We will use Rampaging Werewolves here. It extends Grizzly Rage duration and gives 100% critical strike damage. For the tempering, Earth Crit Chance and Grizzly Rage cooldown reduction. The skill tree is pretty straightforward, nothing too new here. Very similar to Pulverizing passives and abilities. I will show you the most important one so you get an idea, and of course, I will be answering questions in the comments. Start with Earth Spike. We will put 5 points here and use Wild Earth Spike, which summons an extra spike when you stun or immobilize enemies. 3 points in Heart of the Wild to increase spirit, which also benefits the adaptability aspect. We take Earthen Bulwark for damage reduction and Debilitating Roar to fortify. Reduce enemy damage by 30% and boost our own by 25%. We will use Wolves to help activate Shan consistently. Since we are pairing it with Ahu, they also help tank and keep enemies off us. The rest is almost identical to Pulverize. Key passives like Provocation, Envenom and Toxic Claws are all here. Of course, we need 5 points in Grizzly Rage to get all its benefits. And finally, we will take Ursine Strange as our key passive. The Paragon board is identical to Pulverize. I won't go into too much detail, but I will show you the page and glyphs. First board, Headhunter, more damage versus elites and with power boost. Second board, Earthen Devastation, 60% more damage with Air and Sky Glyph, boost damage to vulnerable enemies. The third board, Survival Instinct with Keeper Glyph, gives plus 50% to non-physical damage and now Earth Spike is poison. Here we will also use Haunted Malice, more damage to poison enemies, both mobs and bosses, with the Spirit Glyph for crit damage. Last board, Ancestral Guidance. Now we benefit from it because Char of Baratil makes basic skill cost resource and the glyph is Dominate for overpowered damage. All of this will be in the planner, so you can take your time. Boons are key to make the build feel smooth and efficient. We will go with Gift of the Stack, boost the Spirit Pool, which helps adaptability and Spirit Regen, Side Talons, more crit and lucky hit, Avian Grab, pretty much mandatory in every Druid build now, Energize, helps sustain resource regen, and Obsidian Slam, guarantees overpower hits more often for better DPS. For Catalyst, I use Celestial Surge with the Infusion Corrosive Vapor. I like this combo because it feels great pulling mobs together and nuking them. It's more of a fun choice, but it was great for Pit too. Assign it to the Earth Spike slot. You will see in the gameplay how I sometimes wait to group enemies before casting. The Arcanas is Bloody Charm, execute enemies, reduce cooldowns by 2 seconds, helps keep Bulwark and Road up. Frigid Fate, mostly for freezing enemies to trigger Neo Om, runes more often, and Fracture Core disables enemy auras. Same gems as Pulverize, and generally good for most Druid builds. The first one is Idol from Below, plus 6% max life and core stats, Scornful Light, 20% elemental damage, perfect for poison damage, and HORADRIC Crest. This time gives 10% damage reduction since we are running 2 unique Arcanas. Runes are key in this build. We start with Ahushan to trigger overpowered crits more often, Wolves help activate this combo, and the second set is Neo Om. To activate Om, we have to avoid damage for 2 seconds. It sounds hard, but this build attacks from a distance, and Frigid Fate and Bulwark helps you avoid hits. You can also swap Om for Cax. In the Pit gameplay, you will see how I move to make it happen. Just practice if you want to push higher with this setup. Alright, my fellow Druids, here is a run of a Pit 100. I will give this build a solid tier A. It's very complete for both pushing and farming. It's also a build that wasn't really playable before, but now it has a solid spot and feels great to use. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in Sanctuary. Goodbye.